Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the PodUp with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. PodUp, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Wednesday edition of PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Got a good show lined up for you. First, we're going to, Jaquez Green will not be joining us this week. It's next week. There was a mix-up there with his spring break. So we'll have Steve Russell from WRUF join us. He's stepping in for Jaquez. We're going to go now to the Titan & More hotline. We're joined by JC. Good morning, JC. How are you?
All right, here we go. Yep, Wednesday, looking good. I like your seats there for the tournament this weekend, and it looks pretty good over there. I wonder if the course is going to play easy or hard. Many times I watch this tournament, QB, you know, I mean, many times they finish up in the mid-teens, and then rarely do they finish in single digits, but we'll see if the wind blows, maybe.
That's all. The wind has to blow to make
if the wind doesn't blow. They'll kill this course if the wind doesn't blow, but they love it. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, we'll get to talking golf here a little bit later, but some news and notes. You know, obviously the SEC tournament starts today. I mean, the ACC started last night. I don't know if you saw.
I did.
I was flipping through the channels. Notre Dame was losing to Wake Forest by like 15. I flip it back over, JC.
Yeah.
And right as I flipped it back over, Notre Dame hits a game winner. To win the game. A bomb.
Wow. Well, that's March Madness. We're in March Madness. Here it is.
Yes, it is.
Definitely March Madness.
And I thought I was going to get a text from you last night.
Oh, you almost did.
I know how you work. I know how you work.
Okay, tell me how
you knew not to text me. You knew because BYU was up 12 at half. They shot 71% from the three-point line in the first half.
What? Yeah,
they made 9 3-pointers. They couldn't miss, but they ended up losing by
they lost
20-something in the second half.
In the second half, they lost by 10 for the game. But this guy Jalen
Suggs. He's probably the best player in America.
Well, I would give that to the kid in Oklahoma State, Cunningham. But Suggs is great. I mean, he's great. I think Cade Cunningham will be drafted before Suggs, but maybe not. Who knows? But
they're different positions. So
it's sure. Depends on who's got the pick. I get it. But let me say this: you took Gonzaga, and I got the field.
You can have them. I'm telling you, they're that good. They were just playing around. BYU, like I said, shot 71% from three. And it was no doubt that Gonzaga was going to win that game. Not even a doubt. I was waiting for that text.
Good luck.
But I knew you were scared to send it.
I was waiting. I was waiting on texting because I had this feeling, as did you, that the Zags would get it done. But I'm telling you, QB, all it takes is one bad game or one bad half, I guess.
But the thing about them is, they really can't have a bad game offensively because they have so many good players that can score. I've never seen that team with that many scores.
I think at some point next week, we're going to I guess we'll figure out some bracketology of some sort that you figure out with all the crack producers you have on staff there. But what I think we could do is definitely pick the Final Four. I mean, or the Sweet 16.
We're gonna
Sweet 16 or something.
No. We're gonna have the people that know how to do all the computer stuff. We are going to do some type of March Madness bracket. We're going to give away some type of prize pack. And Clayton says here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melvin Law, where you matter most, Gonzaga will not win at all. He's crazy as hell. He obviously hasn't watched.
He is not crazy as hell. You are the guy picking one team to beat 63.
Me. Okay,
you.
I'm not even.
You are on this podcast.
Look, I'm not even.
Gonzaga.
I am picking them. I'm not a basketball expert like the people on TV.
You only watch it 6 hours a night, QB. I don't want to hear it about it.
Ask all those experts who they're picking. Okay.
Well, that's why I probably don't want to pick what the experts pick. I like going against the tide. I'm non-conventional as opposed to you who follow the crowd. But
this is equivalent to you picking Alabama to win the national title in football. That's how good this team is.
Well,
that is how good Gonzaga is. So we shall see.
If they lose in the Sweet 16, you're going to hear it for 2 months.
That's fine.
Okay?
I can handle that. I'm just telling you that Gonzaga is clearly the best team.
Clearly. They're so much better than Baylor and Illinois.
They are.
Why are we even having the tournament? Can somebody explain to me why we're holding the tournament this year?
Because of money. Because of money. That's why we're having it. Because of money.
I was being facetious. Thank you.
Yes. So last night, the Gators win in baseball. Kevin O'Sullivan becomes the all-time winningest coach at the history of the school. Congratulations to Sully. Jacob Young's hitting streak has ended at 20 games. So congratulations to him as well.
You're right. I got a little stat for you on baseball, but go ahead.
Okay. Also, I don't know if you saw this, but you know Pat Mahomes and his fiance, they had a little girl like 2 days ago.
Okay.
Texas Tech already gave her a letter of intent at 2 days old because
I love that.
Mama played soccer at Texas Tech, and we all know what Daddy did. So I just think that was awesome.
That is awesome. I love that. You know, in the first 3 years of the new deal that he signed with Kansas City, he's getting half of what Dak Prescott is
getting.
Which
it just makes me want to throw up. I mean, it's
well, don't throw up
because here's the problem. Whoever the next quarterback that signs is going to be making more money than all of them, and it's not right. I know it's all about timing, but there's no way Dak Prescott should be making more money than Aaron Rodgers or Pat Mahomes.
I think Jerry just has a soft spot for this kid, and I think certainly after he hurt himself last year, I broke his ankle or foot, whatever. I think Jerry just decided then that he was going to give Dak whatever he wants because Jerry's getting up there in age, and I think he just cares about certain players more than others, and he's going to give the guy he cares the most about the most money. I can't explain any other reason why he would do this deal. I cannot. I look at this deal. It's crazy.
Honestly,
but it's a crazy deal. $66 million guaranteed. Really?
I mean, think about it. There's probably 10 to 12 quarterbacks that you would pick before him, right?
It's $126 million guaranteed. Yes, there are. And we all know the reasons why we wouldn't give it to him. Okay, great. But let's think about why did he get it? And I'm thinking to myself, it's because Jerry just has a soft spot in his heart for this player. And they really, I guess, love each other. I don't know. Dak, I would have, I'm not the agent. I'm not Dak. But I can't imagine why he turned down those initial offers of 130 some odd million for a longer term. But he's got 126 million guaranteed. He's got a 4-year contract as opposed to a 5. The 3 years are basically averaging out at 42 million a year, QB. If you just average that number by 3, 42 million. And Dallas has one playoff win with this guy, I think.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy.
In fact, I'm pretty sure of that. I saw that game. They beat the Seahawks. But Russell Wilson's sitting out there. He's going to want to leave Seattle and get another deal. I can tell you. Deshaun Watson's sitting out there. He hates Houston. He wants to get traded. I don't know. They're chasing the money and the players are winning. If you want to sit there and tell me that we have players out there not being treated well by the NFL, I think you're naive. But I wanted to go back for just a moment before I deviated onto Dak Prescott, their QB. And there's a site on Twitter called @SkullSparks, SkullSparks, and they do a lot of analytics with the internet. And it really kind of disappointed me to see this report that they had coming out on baseball teams, college baseball teams that generate the most interactions on official social accounts, which in this case they surveyed Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for the month of February. So we're early, obviously, in the season. Can you tell me what team in the SEC and basically what team nationally generated the most interaction on social media in the month of February? And I think you know this because
it's either Vanderbilt or Mississippi State.
Well, it was Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt but Vanderbilt was number 2. Now, this just tells you the strength of college baseball in this conference. Ole Miss was 1. They had something to the effect of 698,000 interactions on those 3 platforms. And I found this very interesting. Ole Miss was 1, Vanderbilt was 2, Arkansas was 3, LSU was 4, and Mississippi State was real close to LSU at 5, followed by, and this is what bugged me, Tennessee, Auburn, Texas, A&M, TCU, Oregon State and Miami, and I didn't see Florida anywhere in that top 12.
It's funny you bring that up. I was texting with a journalist, and this was a couple of days ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling him, and I mentioned this, I'm like, I go on the Florida baseball Twitter website to sometimes find out what the score of the game is, and you can't ever find the damn score.
Right.
And so I think they do need to do a better job there. But that is interesting. We got a couple of Facebook Lives here brought to you by Mellon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Rick says Manhattan lost to Fairfield by 1 in OT. He must be a Jasper fan. Aren't they the Jaspers, Manhattan?
They are, but even more. Do you know who Fairfield is?
God,
come on, QB. This is going to be up your alley here, bud.
I don't know.
I'll tell you, they are the Fairfield Stags. And they I can't believe you didn't get that.
Okay. And then John says here, Tom Brady takes pay cuts and makes all the Super Bowls. One day other guys will figure it out. But the problem is nobody's going to want to go play with Dak Prescott to try to win a Super Bowl. They need to get until they win Super Bowls. So,
I don't know. Yeah, but a mutual friend of ours who played in the league, QB, told me that this isn't killing Dallas on the cap because of all the upfront money. I don't know how that works. Not a GM.
Honestly, I don't care I don't follow the salary cap or any of that stuff. I just sit here and say, okay, would I rather have Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Pat Mahomes, this guy before Dak Prescott? Yes. But this guy's making the most money in the league. It blows my mind.
Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, I mean, there's a million quarterbacks I'd take before him.
And the Giants, the Giants with their young guy they have are, I think, thought of as being maybe one of the favorites in that division. Philadelphia's going to start. Their number one guy in camp is going to be Jalen Hurts, and then Washington is going to have that Tyler Heineke, whatever. Listen, Dallas is going to have a lot of pressure on him. I guess that's the world they like to live in. And Prescott, too. Good. He got the money he wanted. You have to give him credit for that. He held out for it. But I think it's all because of the owner. I don't think any other owner in the league would have given him half that much or near that much.
Refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. March is your lucky month at Wrap Spot. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. We're speaking with JC here. Second portion of the show. No Jaquez Green. He pulled his hamstring. So we're going to bring in another speedy receiver, Steve Russell from WRUF. Quezzy will be on next week. We had a mix up. It's his fault, my fault. We got confused with his spring break. He teaches down there at Manatee High School.
Yes.
JC, you and I are going to get to our Peachland Dentistry golf picks here in a minute, but we're going to throw it out there to the fans, everybody on Facebook Live. There are three golfers and the winning score, and whoever, you add up your golfers' scores, and if there's ties or whatever, we go to the winning score, and we're going to give away something to the winner. So hopefully I explained that well. So if you pick three golfers and none of them make the cut, you're screwed. You have no chance. So if two of them make the cut, we add up their scores. So whoever has the highest scores added up, and then if there's a tie somehow, we go to the winning score. So basically you pick three players and you say minus 12 will win the tournament. And we're going to give away maybe a JC signed player's hat or something.
Oh, wow. How about that, QB? I've been on those grounds. Those grounds behind your head there are my stomping grounds. Right, I got the secret little places where I like to go, and you can get maximum viewing. And it requires you to be able to walk, and it requires you to have good shoes on and socks. And have a little stamina and endurance because there's a lot of hills there, but I could get you to see players really close up and personal, and it's a great place to watch golf because you get really, really close to these golfers, probably more so than in any other venue.
John says on Facebook Live, Lamar Jackson is eligible for contract extension after this season. What kind of ridiculous contract does he get?
I mean,
let me tell you something. If he gets paid a lot of money, they are morons.
Well, listen,
he's a good player. but he cannot win at a high level because he cannot throw well enough. Simple as that.
Yeah, and I'm not arguing any of that because you're right. I've seen him in the playoffs, and he has one playoff win, and it was against Tennessee last year, and they had to come back to win, and then the following week they got blasted. But let me say this about Dak Prescott, QB, and these are things you can't argue about, just because I don't want to belabor the point about Dak today, but it is absurd what he's getting, and I think comparatively speaking to other contracts, it's absurd. It's absurd anyway. But in 5 seasons, he has a team record. That's for the Dallas Cowboys, the legendary franchise, the most popular, one of the most. They're up there with the Yankees, right? Prescott has a team record 7 400-yard passing games and 24 rushing touchdowns. That's the most by any quarterback, including Staubach, Aikman, any of them. He is second only to Tony Romo in 300-yard passing games in 15, so he'll eclipse that. So he'll have the record for that. And he has also proven to be pretty clutch he's got 15 game-winning drives. So those are nice little bullet points about why Dak Prescott's worth a lot of money. But when we're talking about the amount, it is hard to compare to. And that's the thing. I can't understand it. But Dallas, as far as a franchise goes, he's up there with the big ones on the Hall of Ring of Fame or whatever you call it, because now he hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, granted.
Why are you putting him on the ring?
Well, I haven't put him on that, but I'm telling you, some of these team records are better than the guys they have.
Whoa, hang on. The game has changed. It's just like I had Jimmy Smith on yesterday, who was part of the Jaguars. It was him and Keenan McCardell, the Thunder and Lightning with Fred Taylor. Back in those days, there was no after 5 yards, you can't touch a receiver. Yeah. In the days he played, DBs could maul guys. There was no targeting. There was none of that. So the game has changed. So stats are inflated these days.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, JC, I want to get to, I don't know if you saw, and we're getting on our golf talk here, and I know people don't like to talk golf, but it's a huge week.
They don't like to talk about golf?
Some people don't, because obviously nobody's even put their 3 golfers up here in a score yet for the contest.
Well, you got to give it more than 10 minutes, QB.
Okay. So JC, there's a young kid out of Canada, Okay, JC, you listening?
Oh, yeah, a young kid out of Canada.
There's a kid out of Canada who's 16 years old who averages driving the golf ball 350-something yards. His swing speed is more than Bryson DeChambeau. He played in a amateur event at TPC Sawgrass. On 18, during his practice rounds, he figured out it's best to hit it over the lake into number 9 fairway for the angle. Okay. Yes. Well,
I love that.
So now
they made a rule.
PGA Tour has put out of bounds stakes over there because of this kid, because Bryson was going to follow this kid's lead. But can you believe this 16-year-old kid from Canada is hitting it farther than him at 16 years old?
No, that's shocking. But I would love to see a guy. Okay, so to appreciate what you just said, you have to know these holes. You have to know what 18 looks like from the tee box and where 9 is across this lake. And I think it would be fascinating to see somebody try to do that. One problem they're going to run into is the big pavilions on the hill there. You can't even – I don't know how you're going to get it to the 9th fairway with those big structures that they have on the hill for people to watch. Now, this is being an awkward year for viewership, and maybe there won't be as many people there, of course, and I don't really know what it's going to look like fan-wise, but I anticipate it'll be close to what it's normally like. But I don't know how you'd be able to hit the ball on the number 9. I mean, physically, because of the structures up on those hills, I don't see how you can get it over there. But regardless, that is a staggering thing to try to do, much like what DeChambeau did last week at Bay Hill, basically driving the green on that par 5. So in this case, I don't know how you could get the ball over there to 9, but to watch it go that route, I understand why they did it, and I think it makes sense. Because that's not, Buddy Alexander at UF, the famed Florida golf coach, used to hate it and tried his best to create an internal out of bounds. It's called an internal out of bounds zone on number 12 at the University of Florida course. Because
I play it down the 10 fairway.
As have I. I've had 180 yards, 175 yards in coming off of the 12th fairway, and Buddy, that just drove him crazy, right? So they never considered moving those pine trees just so that you would have to hit it high over there. but that is an easier, more direct. And we're talking about geometry here, right? But that's not how the hole should be played. It's not part of that hole. So internal OB is something that's not the first thought at the TPC. A lot of guys have frustration when they run golf courses of how players play certain holes. And, that's a par 5, number 12 at UF. And they want you to play it as a par 5 up that fairway. But you can cut it down and get home in 2 using the 10th fairway. So I think that's good that they did that, because some of these guys are just animals with the driver. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, that 16-year-old out of Canada, it's unbelievable. Don't forget.
That is unbelievable.
Go to podupwithshane.com. You can enter to get the free drawing of the hat, Chomp Harder hat. Our winner this week is Joseph Lawson. Joseph Lawson wins the Chomp Harder hat.
You know who that is, right?
I have no idea. How do you know?
Peachland. That's Peachland Dental.
Oh, yeah, Joe.
That's Big Joe.
When they said Joseph, it confused me.
That's our guy. He owns Peach. I play golf with him from time to time, once or twice a year. So good for Joe. Way to go.
We have our first contest participant. Gene says he has Rory, Justin Thomas, and Kisner, and he thinks 11 under is going to win. The TPC.
Well, I'm going to write that down for our loyal listener, Gino. That's really going out on a limb, but we have to, listen, they're just as eligible as anybody else. Rory, Dustin Johnson. Kevin Kisner has had some success playing that course. It wasn't too long ago that he was in the lead going around the last few holes there, 16, 17, and 18, famous holes. So DJ Roy and Kevin Kisner and -11 for Gino. Got it.
Let me do this day in sports before we get to our Peachland Dentistry golf picks. Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. This month, get a free annual maintenance plan with every residential duct cleaning purchase, $199 value. Service departments available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for your convenience. Okay. JC.
All right.
In 1888. Well, first of all, not a whole lot.
Only you can pick up something like that.
No, because I went through this site that I go to that tells you everything that happened on this day.
Yeah.
Basically, it was so-and-so beat so-and-so in the SEC tournament. So-and-so and so-and-so beat somebody in the ACC. It wasn't interesting. Right. This one kind of caught my eye. So in 1888, heavyweight boxing champ John L. Sullivan draws Charlie Mitchell in 30 rounds.
Oh,
so I guess back in those days, you boxed for 30 rounds.
And they probably used something analogous to bare fists, okay? Because, I don't think Everlast was supporting the equipment back in the 18th or 19th century. So,
but is that what that means? That when he says draws, I guess they basically said after 30 rounds, it's a draw.
Well, I'm sure that both these guys could probably barely stand up after all that slugging. But 3 minutes of that? Oh my God. That's 90 minutes in a boxing ring and slinging with somebody. That is interesting, QB. So I have to give your crack research department there a lot of credit for that.
Yeah. Tommy says on Facebook Live, he mentioned that Florida got a 2022 quarterback commitment from Texas, a guy named Nick Evers. He's a 3-star dual threat guy. I don't know much about him. These guys so far out, it is what it is. We need to worry about who's on our roster right now.
Is the Canadian that you were talking about Taylor? Is that his last name?
No, it's Jivan or Javon.
Javon. Okay, I'm just trying to find.
Jeevan is his first name.
Okay.
But yeah, you got to Google it. The 16-year-old Canadian.
Well, I'm looking at the field here, and
no, he's not in the tournament, JC.
Oh, he's not in the tournament. Okay.
He's 16.
You misled. Oh, he can't play.
He played in an amateur event.
No, he can't.
He played in an amateur event at TPC not too long ago.
All right, I'm confused. Up. 16 years old. I didn't think. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's now time for the Peachland Dentistry. Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com. This is the Peachland Dentistry, JC and the QB. No longer the weekend picks. It's the golf picks. And this is a major, folks. If you're not a golf fan for whatever reason watching this show and you want to start getting into golf, this is a tournament to start. Beautiful scenery, great layout, great golf course, and you got the best. This is the best field
It is.
In golf. It's better than the Masters. It's better than any other tournament. These are the top players in the world.
Well, they call this their tournament, but the other reason why it's so great is it's got the biggest prize purse, right?
Yeah.
I mean, $15 million in this case. And what do you think the winner gets, QB? Just off the top.
2.4 is my guess.
That's close. 2.7. So these guys are gonna play their best to try to win this thing. And I don't know how you can't. I know how the traditional writers, the traditionalists want to say that this is not a major. How is this not a major? I mean, you've got the biggest prize purse in the best field. What defines a major? Okay, it's a different definition. But in my world, something like this has to be considered a major because of the purse in the field. I mean, that's what we're talking about is a tournament. We're not talking about something brought out of a museum, okay? This is a tournament. And it's got the best field and the biggest purse. How is it not a major?
Yep. Rick says on Facebook Live, his 3 picks are Grimm, Westwood, and Cantley at 9 under par.
Grimm?
He's definitely going out on all limb.
Good Lord. Westwood, he's got 1 or 2 good tournaments a year in him. Now he's saying, my man's saying
Rick's
back to back.
Don't criticize Rick's picks. He may win. All right, JC, you get to go first. Go.
Daniel Berger.
Oh, you're going with the semi.
Your AT&T golf winner. He's had a couple weeks to rest up. He will play this course magnificently. I love his game.
I'm going to go with Colin Morikawa.
Yeah, another winner on tour here recently. Okay, Colin Morikawa. That's a great putter right there and a very good driver of the golf ball. I will go second pick with a guy who plays this course very well, in my opinion, because I've seen him play it a lot of times. He hasn't won as much on tour as I think. A lot of times his health is an issue. Why, I don't know. But Jason Day is a guy I think who can play well on this tournament, on this course, right. I should say.
I'm going to take Xander Schauffele.
Oh, who?
Xander.
Who? Really? You never pick him? Okay, we got him. And I don't blame you for picking him either. He's very good off the tee box. You have to be. I'm going to take a guy you're not thinking about, but who has really stepped up here this season alone on tour. I think he's already got a win on tour just this season, and that would be your Georgia Bulldog, Harris English. Harris English, a long driver of the golf ball. He had a really good tournament last week, but he's won already on tour, and I think his game is he's playing with a lot of confidence. Harris English, Daniel Berger, and Jason Day in the TPC.
All right, my final pick. I'm going with a local kid who lives there who has a gator on the bag, Webb Simpson.
He has that's right. His Paul Tesori, right?
Yeah,
Paul Tesori, who also bagged for VJ, and we all know how good VJ was at this tournament.
What's your winning score, JC?
My winning score. I think the weather's going to be absolutely perfect. I think the greens are going to be hard. I think we're going to look at. I think we're looking at 12 under.
I'm going 14 under.
Yeah. Okay, and Gino, our guy, got in early. He's taken 11 under. So yeah, low teens I think makes sense. I don't know what the wind's going to be like, but the weather is going to be absolutely perfect for this tournament. So if you're thinking about going and you can get in somehow, you will have a great time because it won't be as crowded. The parking won't be as difficult to get in and out of. And I think you'll have the opportunity to see, you will have the opportunity to see the greatest players in golf all in one small area.
Yep. And Friday, we'll kind of recap what's going on. We'll be able to talk about Gator basketball because they play tomorrow against the winner of who was it? South Carolina A&M playing tonight?
Yeah. Vanderbilt is playing.
Vanderbilt and A&M.
Vanderbilt's playing A&M. Yeah, yes. I would say that getting 2 wins is for seeding. I think Florida's in, obviously, but I think getting 2 wins or more gets them a much better seed than where they're looked at right now today, obviously.
Okay. All right, JC, hit them straight today. We'll talk to you.
All right, my man. You got it. Thanks.
All right, that's JC. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. Going to take our first time out of the program today. When we come back, we'll be joined by the Dean of Sports Talk here in the Gainesville area, Mr. Steve Russell. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Harder Apparel, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Points where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Dave & Buster's, Nike, Sushi Hana, Uzaline Day Spa, and coming June of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Visor's Rooftop Bar. We will see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. We're going to go now to the Titan MR Hotline. We're joined by the Dean of Sports Talk in Gainesville, Steve Russell. Good morning, Coach Steve. How are you?
Tanner, good to be with you, man. How are you?
Absolutely. I appreciate you filling in. I like to get you on maybe once a month. I was supposed to have Quezzy Green on today.
Oh.
So he tweaked his hamstring. We bring in Steve Russell, another slot receiver. No,
yeah.
We both got our days mixed up, with him down at Bradenton Manatee. Their spring break is next week, so we're going to have him on next week. We thought it was today. But let's talk baseball, Steve. You're a big baseball guy. I know, obviously, you're not broadcasting as many games as you have in the past. But first of all, Sully becomes the all-time winningest coach here. Talk about the job that he's done. Talk about that first. I mean, that's a great accomplishment.
No doubt. When he was first hired, Shane, he was an assistant. He wasn't a head coach. Now, at the time he was hired, Clemson was really good in baseball. But Jeremy Foley took a real leap of faith there, because he wasn't a head coach, but he saw something in him and he had a plan, and obviously it's worked. I mean, I don't care who the coach is. You know this. As Coach Spurrier, a great coach as he is, you have to have good players. You have to have good players in the program. He's been blessed to have that. But over 14 years, he's been to all those College World Series, all the NCAA tournaments, won a championship, might win a championship this year with this club. So he's done a phenomenal job.
Yeah, he really has. Jacob Young, his hitting streak, which lasted like 3 years because of the pandemic, it was stopped last night. And, that's tremendous. That's a school record as well. And what's amazing is I was talking to somebody the other day on one of my shows. We were talking about, who was it? I guess it was Robin Ventura has the longest hitting streak in college baseball. It's like 50-something games. That is unbelievable.
Yeah, and that's why it's so hard. The SEC record is something like 36, so he was close to that. But he was fortunate when he got number 30, kind of nubbed one, and it was in the infield. Didn't have good swings last night, just had one of those nights. And to your point, it's how difficult it is to hit in that many straight games. But he's a great kid. Couldn't happen to a nicer kid.
So, Steve, looking at what you've seen from this baseball team, obviously there are huge expectations, unanimous number one. And we all know in baseball, you're going to lose 10, 12, 13 games in a year. They don't win the series against Miami. I know a lot of people are upset about that. But what have you seen from this team? And I guess, is there a weakness or just an area that Sully hasn't figured out yet, whether it's relief pitching, starting pitching? Are we not swinging it well? What have you seen so far early in the season?
Early in the season, Shane, I think the bullpen and the defense was a concern. Florida has had some teams that were just tremendous fielding teams. So far, this has been an average team, but of late, they're playing better. I think that's gotten straightened out. But the bullpen early on, I think, was the weak link. The closer didn't really do a good job. They had some middle relief guys that didn't do a good job. So that was a bit of a concern. But that's getting straightened out now. The starters for the weekend are tremendous. Those guys are all good. They're all going to be drafted. So that's not a worry. Christian Scott out of the bullpen pitched again last night, really reliable. So I think that the question now becomes, is Aleman going to be the closer, going to get the job done? Timmy Manning, a freshman, a lefty out of the bullpen, has been really good. Vander Wide pitched last night, a lefty. They're going to need lefties in the SEC. So I think things are getting better. But early on, I think the defense and the bullpen were the two weaknesses.
When you obviously do you like the new view from the press box when you call a game?
Yes. Yeah,
it's ideal.
The ballpark is just awesome. And you know, you're a facilities guy, so you know we've talked about that 100 times. All around the SEC, Missouri's facility is just awful. It's just really bad. But the rest of them, you know, Kentucky is even getting a new one. Alabama got a new one. So what Sully was able to accomplish at a facility that was in the bottom third of the league even speaks more highly to what he was able to do. But it's when this pandemic, God willing, ends and we're back to normal, it is going to be a terrific place to watch a baseball game because you got the berm, you got the chairs in the outfield. You can walk around the entire complex now and see the game. It's just gorgeous.
So do you think having, you know, the SEC is the premier conference in baseball. I don't care what anybody says. With the facilities, just the fan base, the players. Do you think you're going to see a lot of kids nowadays, if they have the opportunity to come out of high school to play major, to be drafted, I guess you should say, you know, not many go straight to the majors. It takes years in the minors. And I know you get good money, but if you're a good player, you're going to get drafted whether you're out of coming out of high school or you go to college for a few years. Do you think with the new facilities that these kids may choose to go play college baseball so they can play in these awesome venues against great competition? Because a lot of people I hear say SEC baseball is like AAA baseball. You know, I guess what I'm asking, do you think you're going to see a lot more kids turning down the money and going to play in the SEC?
Not a lot more, because I think it's all about money and it's all about advancement, Shane. Look, when you get out of college in football and you get drafted, you're not going to a minor league. You're not riding a bus. You're going to play the NFL, right? So you're going to have to pay your dues and ride a bus for a while. But look, we've seen a lot of prospects get called up quickly. Casey Mize at Auburn, for example, you know, got drafted and he's already slated to be in the big leagues, you know, sometime this year. So I think a lot of it depends. Vanderbilt had a kid, J.J. Blade, who was expected to make a big league roster this year. He's only been out of school a couple of years. So I think it depends on the kid. Do you want to play college ball and get more seasoning, play 3 years and get to the big leagues? Or if you're a first round guy, can you make it to the big leagues and not have to ride a bus, you know, for a long time? But that's what you have agents for. That's what you know, talk all about. But that's the key decision, because unlike baseball, you know, you get drafted in the NBA. I mean, you might go to the G League, but chances are you're going to be in the NBA. Certainly in the NFL, you go straight to football. So, but I do think if it's 50-50, I'm playing a great facility with great fans and a great program. That helps.
We had a text here on the Titan Mar text line. It comes from Larry. Larry wants to know, Steve, what is going on with Judd Fabian?
I don't know what he means by that.
I guess now I don't know how he's been playing recently. I think he got hot here recently. Early on in the year, he was like 2 of 14 or something. But I mean, he's still talented.
He is going to be a first round draft choice. Mark it down. Okay. He is a plus defender. He's one of the best center fielders ever to play at Florida. And you're talking about guys like Matt Dendecker and Buddy Reed, who play center field here. And he hits the ball a mile. Now, he struggled early. He struck out a lot. You know, the other teams scout. The other teams have coaches too. So, you know, they understand what Judd Fabian can do. But baseball is a game of constant adjustment. It is an adjustment at bat to at bat, pitch to pitch. So he started out a little slow. He's had some issues with the breaking ball because he can hit a fastball 500 feet. So he's had to adjust. But of late, he's coming on. He'll be fine.
Let me ask you this, because you've been watching Gator baseball a long time, and a lot of people say Brad Wilkerson's probably the best overall player that we've had in recent memory. Would you put Judd Fabian in his category?
Not yet. I want to see, what he does at the end here. Wilkie played a little longer. Remember, people forget this. Judd Fabian should have been in high school.
Exactly.
I think that's just taken for granted. Oh, well, that's a big deal. So, but now, you can circumvent that a little bit and come to school early if you qualify. But he could be one of the best ever by the time he leaves here. But I think most people would say Wilkerson. But, look, there's so many Gators, and Mike Zannino's been around for a long time. There's a lot of them. But I think most Gator fans would say Wilkerson.
Yeah. Speaking of, before we move on to basketball, talking facilities, because I'm a facilities guy.
Yeah.
I had one complaint about the new ballpark. Okay. And I'm probably the only person that's going to complain. And it has nothing to do with the ballpark. It's when you're on the outfield looking in, it's unbelievable. It's from when you look from home plate out to left field, that those sheds and stuff over there bother me. You know what I'm talking about, on the other side of the road?
Yeah.
I think we need to plant some bushes or some trees or something over there. But
we'll make a suggestion, right? You always make improvements, right?
But that's just what I noticed, just from the eyesight. But man, you're right, Steve. It is awesome. It's right up there with all the other facilities in the SEC. So basketball, I'm sure you're getting calls on your show. It's time to fire Mike White. Yada yada yada. I mean, it's like every other week, right? It's time to fire him. And I've told people, look, and I think you and I are on the same page. What Billy did here was phenomenal. I don't know if it'll ever happen again. He just had a great run. But Billy also had some years that they struggled. I think people forget that. Florida is not a basketball school. And I believe, and I've said it many times on my show, that Mike White is only one of 9 head coaches that have taken his team to the NCAA tournament 4 consecutive years. This will make it the 5th consecutive years. Only 9 coaches. So I know people get frustrated, but you're playing without the preseason SEC Player of the Year, Keontae Johnson. Thank goodness. I mean, I don't think people realize what this team went through emotionally. And not even just the players, the coaches. I couldn't imagine one of my players collapsing on a court. That's huge adversity. So, and then Trey Van didn't play last week. I assume he's playing tomorrow. But just your thoughts on this basketball team. I mean, I think if your number one goal is to make the NCAA tournament, and they're going to do that.
I've been accused of, coddling to coaches, but it's difficult to coach. And it was difficult to coach this year. There's only 2 teams in the SEC, Shane, that have had superior years in our league, and that's Alabama and Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else, even the tournament teams, Florida's going, Missouri's going, LSU's going, right? They've been up and down. It's what's happened in our league. And basketball is judged, I think, differently than most any other sport, because it's such a long journey to get to the end. I said this on my show the other day. If Florida, now it's going to be hard if they're an 8 or a 9 seed, because then they're going to have to play a 1 seed. That's going to be tough. But let's assume for the moment they get to the Sweet 16. I think most people would judge that to be a pretty good year. But it's the way the season's gone. It's been so up and down and highs and lows that in the end, the product isn't judged. It's literally judged game to game. Well, I don't think that's right. You judge a season by the end of it. And to your point about Billy Donovan, okay, I think when fans expect the program to do the things that happened under Billy, it demeans what Billy Donovan did. Because people just think anybody can walk in here and do what he did. That's why he's special. That's why Coach Spurrier was special. That's why Urban was special, because they're better than most coaches. So I think the fan base is way too critical of him. I do understand it's up and down. I do understand it's, one game they look good, the other game maybe they don't, but it's the end result. Next year, though, Shane, I think it's going to be a big year for Coach White, because I don't know if fans are going to just be satisfied with just making the NCAA tournament.
Which is true, but we don't know. This team could, you've heard Jimmy Dykes and other analysts, when Florida's making their shots and playing well, heck, they could win 2 or 3 games in the tournament. You just never know. And it's all about matchups. It's who you match up with that day.
Yep.
Trey Mann was first team All SEC. Some people thought he may have an opportunity to be player of the year. I think that went to the kid from Alabama. I'm not 100% sure. Basically, he won't be here next year. He's an NBA player. He's going to be gone. I cannot figure out Scotty Lewis, Steve. Tremendous athlete, but he's not a good basketball player, in my opinion.
I don't know many NBA scouts, but I do know a few. And I specifically asked him about Scotty Lewis. And the first word out of his mouth was overrated. He said his organization overrated Scotty Lewis because he's so athletic. I think a lot of NBA teams thought we can make him a shooter. We can make him a better offensive player because he's a tremendous defender. Obviously is very good in terms of running the floor, athletic, but just he doesn't do anything offensively great. He's a limited shooter. He doesn't really get to the rim on a consistent basis. So where does he fit when it comes to the NBA? I just don't see it. And I think the biggest challenge for Mike White is going to be to make him somehow be a better offensive player, whether that's, a better shooter, being able to get to the rim better, because he's limited right now.
Yeah, he's extremely limited. The biggest issue for this basketball team, in my opinion, is point guard. We've talked about it on your show. I like Appleby. He makes a lot of things happen, but sometimes he tries to do a little too much. But that's part of it. And I think at this team, if they can just eliminate a few of their turnovers, they can make some noise. They play tomorrow. We play the winner of A&M and Vanderbilt.
Yep.
And we should win that game. And then we get to play Tennessee again, Tennessee is one of those teams I cannot figure out. How many, I guess from a seeding standpoint, how many games do you think the Gators need to win in the SEC tournament to increase their seeding?
If they beat Vanderbilt or Texas A&M, Shane, I don't think it helps them a lick, because I don't know that's going to be a quadrant 1 win. So now if you beat Tennessee and then you beat somebody else at that point, you might move up a seed. But I don't even know if Florida runs the table that it would really, maybe 2 seeds. I think Florida's going to be somewhere between a 7 and a 9 when all is said and done. But if they make a big run, could they get to a 6? Maybe, but I think that's the ceiling.
You do a podcast with Mark Wise, who works for ESPN, analysts basketball. It's called Hoop There It Is. Tell everybody how they can watch that. And also, what is Mark? Who does Mark think is going to win the big dance? He hasn't really said. Okay.
But it's clear what he has said, and I think everybody would agree. It's clear, Shaner, who the number 1 seeds are. There's no question that, you got Michigan, you got Illinois, you got Gonzaga, et cetera. They're clearly the number 1 seeds. Now, after that, Villanova's kind of damaged goods now because they have, their best player hurt. But there's a couple of teams here that, that dreaded 4-13 that I don't know. Loyola Chicago comes to mind. There's some teams I would not want to play in the tournament that could be dangerous, but and it's very hard, to have chalk where all the number 1 seeds advance. But I think Gonzaga being tested last night helps them. They were down big time at the half against BYU and came back to win. That helps them. But it's going to be fun to watch this tournament. I just hope in this bubble they're going to be in, they're going to be safe.
Yep. Steve, let everybody know how they can listen to Sports Scene.
Just tune in at noon. Been around a little while. With Mark and I, because of his schedule, normally it's Monday at 11 o'clock, and it will be this Monday. But we're going to do 3 more shows. One is Monday. One's going to be on the next Tuesday, and one's going to be on the next Wednesday because of where the bracket is and, what's going on with the tournament. But this is, I don't know how you feel. This is one of my favorite times of the year. I love March Madness. It's great.
Well, I do too, and plus the players over at Sawgrass cranks up this week. I know you're not a huge golfer, but your guy, Steve, you love you some Bryson DeChambeau, and he is just mashing the golf ball right now.
That's ridiculous, isn't it? It's ridiculous to see what he does to a golf ball. I get it.
But it's like you. I mean, you play a little bit of golf. You're not an avid golfer like I am. But for the average fan that doesn't know anything about golf, all they want to do is go to a driving range and see how far you can hit it.
Right.
So it's perfect for fans who aren't really into golf. It's great for the game. And I'm anxious to see how he attacks Sawgrass, because I'm not sure he can swing away like he did at Bay Hill.
Yeah, I don't think so. Now, Bay Hill, he just mashed it. But the course was, as you said, I think the course helped him. I'm not sure about this one. I'm with you.
Yeah. Well, Steve, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. We'll be tuning in. Again, it's Steve Russell on WRUF 850 AM. It's every noon to 2. And what year is this for that show?
23.
23 years and running. That's why he is the dean of sports talk. All right, Steve. Appreciate it, my man.
Right, Shane.
Take care. As Steve Russell joined us on the Titanmore Hotline, going to take our final time out on this Wednesday edition from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back.
Hey Gators, this is Coach Steve Spurrier. PodUp with Matthews in the morning. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, where you matter most. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. G-Tech Sport, keep your athletes in the game with G-Tech Sport. Celebration Point Town Center, Center State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Okito America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, TB Financial, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Darshakow Insurance. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit podupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. At Center State Bank, we put business first. We are the largest community bank in the state of Florida and understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. Center State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. Center State Bank, member FDIC. I want to thank JC for joining us. Also, Steve Russell from WRUF does a great job. You can check his show out from noon to 2 every day during the week. Also, don't forget that your winner for the Chomp Harder hat this week was Big Joe Lawson. You can go to podupwithshane.com, enter the drawing, and don't forget tomorrow we'll be giving away a G-Tech Clean COVID-19 Survival Kit. All you got to do is just go put your name and address, and they will get that to you. If you want to enter our TPC contest on Facebook Live, just put your 3 golfers and then the winning score, and we'll figure out what the prize will be. We'll come up with something good, no question about it. Tomorrow's show, we'll have Brent Beard. We'll also talk a lot of high school sports. Santa Fe lost in double overtime in the state championship game. We'll recap that, talk a little baseball. We're also hoping to be joined by Chris Harry from FloridaGators.com to talk a little Gator hoops before they crank it up tomorrow. And then we'll have John Barley from Catholic Charities talking about a golf tournament here in Gainesville as well. And then on Friday's show, we'll have JC, and I think we're going to have Frank Frangie talking Jaguars, TPC, and Gator basketball. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, all that good stuff. Tell your friends to follow us as well. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe out there, folks. Enjoy the basketball and golf in the next few days. We'll see you tomorrow.